All right. Hello, Josh's class. My name is Dr. Chad Ruprecht, and I'm a research psychologist, which is basically a consultant for different clients, people who need research done for all their different needs. And what he wanted me to do is tell you a little bit about what you could do with your undergraduate degree in psychology. So I jotted down a few things that I'd like to read to you guys. So here it is. As you near graduation, probably the biggest mistake that most majors in psychology do, they succumb to the pressures of their professors and their mentors, and they decide that they just have to go to graduate school in psychology. And actually, most of them decide they want to do one of the big three pathways, which are graduate school, which is a PhD in psychology or a PhD in clinical psychology. They'll want to go into medical school because they like Grey's Anatomy. I'm not sure why you would want to do that. Or they go into law school because they hate sleep and they want to memorize a lot of definitions. But for whatever reason, a lot of students I know, they go into one of those three pathways. And these were and they are still noble careers. What a lot of people encounter is an intense amount of competition in terms of getting into these programs. So I knew a lot of students who spent 2 years studying different things and getting research experience just to get into these programs. So that's one thing that you may encounter, especially in clinical psychology, is if you take one of these traditional pathways, you're going to expect a lot of competition getting into these things. Some of the things that are less competitive, PhDs or law school, you have an opposite problem where when you get out, you're going to have a lot of people with the same degree looking for a small amount of jobs. And so you'll find that some of these career fields can be a little bit crowded, and so these people have struggled to find work. So I'm not downing these three traditional pathways, but what I'm trying to get to is that a lot of undergraduates, as you get close to graduation, you think you need to go to one of these three things to sort of further your career. And the reason is pretty simple, because a lot of people don't take the time to think about what they actually could do in the real world. What are they going to do with this sort of pack of skills, this special pack of skills that you've earned in your undergraduate? And those skills are critical thinking, statistical analysis, being able to do different experimental designs. These skills do not just prepare you for those three career fields, but unfortunately a lot of people do it. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because you get to the end of your degree and you're like, well, what do I do now? What's the next step? And these things have been around for years, and so they seem like the simple option. So what I would like to encourage you to do is, on top of those three things, to consider different career fields. Number one, start reading the newspaper and looking to see what is actually in demand in the job market. So the two things that come to mind for me are elderly people. So we're going to have the biggest group of elderly people we've ever had, people who are 65 years or above. It's going to be the biggest it's ever been when all the baby boomers retire. There's going to be a ton of jobs taking care of these people, and there's specializations that you can get into that are not going to cost you as much money or be as competitive to get into, and there's going to be a lot of jobs in that field. The second thing that you could do with your psychology career is something that I actually do right now as a consultant, which is termed usability research or UX research. So it's like user experience. And what this has to do with is looking at the way people use computers or the way they use tablets and the applications that you build into the tablets. We've all had a website or an application that was built really badly and it was hard to use. There are people who do research looking, how do you interact with this application or this program. Usability researchers do that. They look at that, how people interact with things, and they make suggestions to user designers who then improve the layout of those applications. That's something that is really, they're looking for psychology people because it's exactly what you study, how people think and how they navigate through different things. So that would be a huge career field to look into. You don't need a PhD to do that. You can do that with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. So those are the ground rules, just in general. Don't ever pay for a PhD in psychology. Always try to find a program that will pay your way. A lot of people don't know this, but good programs will pay for your tuition, and they'll give you some living stipend that you can have for the 4 or 5 years that you're going to dedicate. Don't go into graduate school unless you really are dedicated to learning just about that one thing. It has to be literally the one thing that you just absolutely love. And can you do that for 5 years? And if you can, great, and you have a real interest in research, then I would say go for it. But make sure that they pay for it and keep your grades up to be able to do that. But the armed forces, too, I forgot to mention that. So the armed services, if you have college debt, that's the reason we don't want to pay for our PhDs. We don't want more debt. If you have debt from your undergraduate, 3 years in the service can completely eliminate your debt. They may pay for your debt on top of paying for your next graduate to degree. If you're 22 or 23, you're so young, you have so many years to give. You should consider that. Maybe doing a 3-year tour in the military. They can eliminate your debt and save up money for your graduate options. Okay, guys, so that's a lot of stuff. I think I blew the 2 to 3 minute line, but thanks a lot.